This is the 2024 Rolls-Royce Spectre. Not only is it the newest model from Rolls-Royce, but it's the very first electrified Rolls-Royce. The design of the Rolls-Royce Spectre combines modern and classic. Modern technology and function, classic design. It is a two-door coupe. It has that sort of 1940s iconic coupe style to it. It has coach doors that are hinged in the rear. The Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament, which retracts and pops back up. Another classic detail is the exterior and interior design. Our exterior is painted in chartreuse and black diamond. On the interior, while leather is standard, the colors and the specifications are not. Owners need to choose that. Altogether, the interior in our test model has about $20,000 worth of leather options. One of the magical features of the Rolls-Royce Spectre is this door. It's very wide and you're not going to be able to reach it to close it. Put your foot on the brake and it closes automatically. The interior of the Rolls-Royce Spectre is pretty classic Rolls-Royce. It's made of a number of different materials. So here we have the black and then we have peony pink here. The steering wheel in our test model is covered in grace white leather and black leather. And that grace white leather even covers the stock on the gear selector and the headlights and the windshield wipers. This is a wood finish. We have the classic round Rolls-Royce air vents here. You can push that to close it if you don't want it, or you can pull that to make sure that the vent is open. There are buttons here that allow you to set whatever your favorites are. So these are unassigned right now. And then this one is what controls the Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament. There are cup holders here, but if you don't want to look at them, you can actually retract that. And you'll have this panel with open pore wood. On the center console here, this is our dial for the multimedia system. And I want you to notice, as I dial it, the Spirit of Ecstasy remains standing and at attention right there in the center. We also see something similar on the wheel caps. The Rolls-Royce logo never changes even when the wheels turn. The start button is over on the left, and then there's a B button right here on the steering wheel stock, and that is for battery mode. That's the only one pedal driving option in this car, but it will help you to regenerate some of that energy to get more miles out of the battery. And notice how the seatbelt indicator and the seat indicator is pink, and then the hold indicator is green. These are all bespoke details of the Rolls-Royce Spectre. One of the most Rolls-Royce-esque experiences is having an assistant at your fingertips. So you just press the microphone button and Eleanor is there. One of the most iconic modern details in the Rolls-Royce is the Starlight headliner. When you turn it on, it's as if you are under a star-filled sky. It's been so popular that Rolls-Royce actually took it a step further and added a Starlight door panel on the doors, which our test model has. One classic detail that was not overlooked is this, the Rolls-Royce umbrella. Now this is a little bit of an extra charge because you do have to pick your color, but this is a great thing to have when the weather is less than lovely. This is for the Rolls-Royce driver who really wants to be behind the wheel. While it's a two-door coupe, it does seat 4, and the rear seat is quite lovely, but all the fun really is in the front seat. The electrified powertrain in the Rolls-Royce Spectre produces about 584 horsepower, which is really fast for a two-door coupe, and it has a range of about 265 miles. Not the biggest range in any electric car, but it's fine for daily driving and short trips. You can take it to a DC fast charger where it should charge to 80% in about 30 minutes. If you have a level 2 charger at home, it will charge overnight. Base price for the Rolls-Royce Spectre is $420,000. Our model with custom paint, the custom interior, the Starlight door panels, and a few other things comes to $560,000. That might be a lot for some people to consider, but for those who really want the Rolls-Royce experience, they want the computer on wheels, and they have earned this achievement, it is well worth it. This is the 2024 Genesis GV80. Genesis is the luxury offshoot from Hyundai. It started about a decade ago as the top trim in the Hyundai lineup, and then it was broken off as its own luxury brand. In the early days, in order to test drive or buy a Genesis, they would come to you to deliver a car to test drive, to deliver paperwork, and then even pick it up for service appointments. But now the brand has grown so much, there are 35 freestanding showrooms. When the GV80 was introduced, it represented brand new design language for Genesis. The daytime running lights that wrap around the front corners, the tail lights that mirror, the interior details, all of that was very iconic to the new Genesis design language and first seen in the GV80. Well, for 2024, the GV80 got a little bit of an update. What they didn't do was really reinvent the wheel. What they did do was they added a new mesh grille and a lot of great new technology. One of the biggest changes for 2024 is this single pane glass that incorporates the multimedia system and the driver display. There are buttons on the steering wheel that will allow you to change that, and then the multimedia system here. So just by tapping this screen, you'll get a toolbar here, and then you'll have these options. Most of the features here are what we had before, but here's the big news for 2024, and that is the mood curator. And this combines music, a graphic, they show light, and then fragrance. But I'm gonna pick Delight and tap Start, and then a show begins. And it's worth listening to the sound because you'll actually be able to hear this high quality sound. The audio system is a premium audio from Bang & Olufsen, and it's designed specifically for this car. This is all new as well. This climate panel that's touch sensitive, and you actually get a little bit of haptic feedback. And then we have this, and this is a fingerprint or biometric control. So you can set up your biometrics for the system to recognize your fingerprint, or you can actually turn on the car. And then over here is our drive mode selector. And when you put it into sport mode, it automatically adjusts the driver's seat for a little more bolstering and a little more support for that sporty drive experience. The model we're test driving is the 3.5T Prestige Edition, which is the top of the line. The GV80 starts at about $59,000. This model starts at $79,000, and it's really fully loaded. There's one option on our test model, and that is the metallic deep green color, and that is a $695 edition. What do you get for $79,000? This is why fans really love this car. You have incredible detail throughout, from Napa leather and micro suede headliner to rear seat amenities that include heated and vented seats and the electric sunshades on the windows. And then of course it has new technology inside, not only the multimedia screen and the new climate panel, but it has true level 2 hands-free driving. So this is a technology you're not going to see in every car, but as a true luxury car, you will see it in the Genesis GV80. The GV80 is really popular among people who want a luxury SUV. Yes, it's a family car, but it's also popular for couples, for people who just love a large SUV with that high ground clearance and great visibility and top-tier technology. The GV80 comes in two different engine options. They're both 6-cylinder. This is a twin turbo with 375 horsepower. The other one has 300 horsepower. Either is ample amount of power for an SUV this size, but I will say, after spending a week in this car, having 375 horsepower underfoot is really nice. The Toyota Land Cruiser is back. It went from being a family-friendly 3-row SUV to being true to its heritage details. The Toyota Land Cruiser is one of the original 4-wheel drive vehicles. It has been seen throughout the world, helping to pioneer building in new places and also adventure. And that is really what its customers have loved about it over the years. for the 2024 model, Toyota really leaned into the off-road adventure capability. One of the more surprising things about the 2024 Land Cruiser is it is powered by a 4-cylinder engine. It's actually the same engine that you find in the Toyota Tacoma. It delivers 326 horsepower, but it does have true full-time 4-wheel drive. The Land Cruiser is available in 3 different trims. There's a 1958, a Land Cruiser, and then the first edition, which is what we are driving. The first edition is fully outfitted with everything Toyota can give you and a lot of luxuries. It has premium material finishes, it has a sunroof, it has a lot of the features that you're not going to find on the 1958 or the Land Cruiser model. Every model in the Land Cruiser lineup is equipped with 4-wheel drive. It has multi-terrain select. It also comes with Toyota's new multimedia system, which has voice-activated assistance and the capability of subscribing to enhanced navigation. So if you're truly off-road, you're never without your maps. Toyota really leaned into the heritage of the Land Cruiser. It's filled with beautiful heritage details, including this color, which is called Heritage Blue. The front of the Toyota Land Cruiser is really iconic for the round lights and a vintage style grille that is something like you might have seen on Toyotas from the 1950s. Around the side, you'll see very large all-terrain tires. There are mud flaps. The cargo space is notable as well. 37.5 cubic feet of cargo space. This one is outfitted with the rubber flooring. The seats fold flat for additional cargo space, but there is a lip here, but you still have quite a lot of cargo space. The interior of the Toyota Land Cruiser will also feel really heritage. It has the Heritage Toyota name here on the steering wheel. You'll see that there are steering wheel controls here. These also feel very Toyota-like. We see something similar in many of their other trucks and SUVs. There's a 12-inch driver display here, a 14-inch multimedia screen here, and this is where all of the functions, including voice activation, are housed. It's nice that climate is actually on its own panel and not buried in the multimedia screen, something that off-roaders will really appreciate. And over here is our drive mode selector. So you can select drive mode, multi-terrain select, or downhill assist and crawl control. And then we have our 4-wheel drive controls here. Also a heritage detail is this really nice gear selector lever. It's still an electronic function, so you're not actually putting the car into gear, you're just telling the computer what to do. For people who are off-road, for people who really like more control over their vehicles, the lever gear shifter really is the thing. The Cool Box is one of the features on the first edition, and you can use this as a regular console, or you can put your drinks in there, press this button, and it will vent cold air into this space. Also on the first edition is the digital rear view mirror, so you can toggle between a video view and a reflective view. In the Land Cruiser, you can have the choice of Softex in the lower trims, which is a leatherette leather alternative, or in the first edition, you get actual leather. In listening to what customers wanted in the Land Cruiser, Toyota decided to forego the 3-row SUV configuration. The decision here was to really make this an off-road capable heritage vehicle that would allow people to really live that off-road life. This is the Rivian R1S second generation. Rivian is a completely homegrown electric car company that's focused on adventure. They build 2 models, the R1S, which is an SUV, and the R1T, which is a pickup truck. They are built in Normal, Illinois, and the people that make up the leadership of Rivian actually come from automakers we know and love, like Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. Rivian was one of the first to develop the idea of an electric truck or SUV for the off-road, and really pioneered that whole idea of being able to take electric vehicles off-road. The Rivian is actually quite capable. They've competed in the Rebelle Rally and other off-road rallies, and this one is designed to be able to not only drive over rocks and through sand dunes, but also through about 3 feet of water. The Rivian R1S rides on 22-inch all-terrain tires, and they are notable not only for the Rivian badge there in the center of the wheel, but also Rivian branded sport brakes. For for the second generation, it looks the same on the outside because the look is very iconic, but the engineering and the user experience are all new. For the second generation, one of the things that buyers will notice is an advanced driver assist and safety system. The driver assist program will center you in your lane, and adaptive cruise will follow the traffic ahead of you, and eventually it will be able to self-drive. It's not quite there yet, but that was a big part of this update, was to add the equipment, add the technology, so that if you buy the second generation, you'll be able to get an over-the-air update that will allow it to drive hands-free. The interior of the Rivian R1S is very modern and simple. You won't see buttons or controls on the steering wheel or on the door panels. Everything that you'll need is right here on this screen. The steering wheel is going to be set by tapping this and then using these dials here on the steering wheel to telescope it and move it up or down. The climate panel is accessed by tapping the little fan icon there. And if you want to reposition the angle of the air vents and direct the airflow, you can do that here. The Rivian is completely capable when it comes to off-roading, and all you do is tap your little off-road icon right there, and you can actually choose daily driving drive modes. The panoramic sunroof is a fixed panel that covers really the entire cabin, and then there's a separate panel for the third row. As a three-row SUV, the Rivian R1S is designed with slide and tilt center row seats to get into the third row. So all you do is press this button on the shoulder tab and the seats slide and tilt forward, and you should be able to do this with a child passenger car seat installed. The third row in the Rivian R1S seats 2 passengers. It's going to be more comfortable with the center row seats pushed forward a little bit, so third row passengers have a little leg room. Rivian is one of the innovators in the electric vehicle marketplace. Not only were they the first to market with the truly off-road capable EV, but they developed a battery system. They call it a skateboard battery, and the batteries actually are thin and they lay below the carriage of the truck or SUV. Almost every automaker has adapted the same style. Much like Tesla, Rivian has really tapped into the passion of the early adopter. Those who really love the idea of a computer on wheels, but want that computer on wheels to take them to the top of the highest mountain or out to the furthest shore, and to be able to do it on all electric. In fact, many Rivian owners talk about that 400-mile range. That means they can go where they want, when they want, and they don't have to worry about charging their car. This is the 2024 Range Rover Sport. The 2024 Range Rover Sport has been completely redesigned top to bottom, rethought in all of its details, all of its design, and its approach to everything it does. Range Rover might be considered the ultimate luxury influencer. When Range Rover does something, the market reacts. So what's so interesting about the 2024 Range Rover Sport is the minimalist approach, combining different functions in single buttons and simplifying the interior and the exterior. On the exterior, you'll see still that classic boxy SUV look and feel about it. On the inside, you'll see all the buttons and dials. All of those are gone. There's literally one button on the center console, and that's the stop-start button. There is a palm-sized gear selector, and that's kind of it. Everything else is on the center multimedia screen. If you think that's cumbersome, it's actually not. Range Rover has added voice assistance so you can ask for what you want, and they did something that we have not seen in any other car in the industry, and that is they allow you to choose your own wake word. You can name your car after whoever you would like. Hey, Queen Elizabeth, please turn on the air conditioning, and she will do it. Hey, Helen, set the cabin temperature to 62 degrees. Part of the minimalist approach to design are the seat memory functions. So this is actually the seat control. This controls the back. This controls the seat bottom. But you can actually tap the M and set the memory for 1, 2, or 3 drivers, and then just tap your number, and the seat goes into position where you set it. There is leather that covers every single surface here, leather on the dashboard, leather on the steering wheel. The minimalist approach actually cleared up space for a lot of flexible space. So there's a cubby under here, which is where the wireless phone charging is, and there's actually spot too to put a phone there. Then there is a little spot under here with cup holders, but this can actually be moved back as well. So there's a much deeper well in here with 2 USB chargers. And then under the armrest, there's a cargo bin that doubles as a cool box. You can tap this button and it vents cold air into the space to chill your drinks while you're driving. You can personalize your experience by setting up your own user account, and you can connect a phone, you can modify or monitor your off-road settings, wade sensing, so you can actually see how deep the car is in water if you're driving through water, your energy use, driving style, all of these functions are available here. And then you have your mode selector, and this is where you're going to find your drive modes, so comfort, eco, and dynamic, which is sport, and auto terrain response. And auto terrain response will automatically adjust ride height, 4-wheel drive, and traction to the terrain that you're on. There's a really simple solution that prevents you from having to use that screen, and that is through voice activation. The redesign of the Range Rover Sport was designed to do 2 things. One, to give it a sportier look and feel, simplified, minimalistic, but also to give it sport. So it really is able to do everything that you need for off-roading. The Range Rover Sport comes in several different engine options. There is a plug-in hybrid option. We're driving the Dynamic SE that has a gas engine. It's a turbocharged and supercharged V6 that generates 395 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. The Range Rover Sport is towards the high end of the model lineup. It is not the most expensive, but it is medium price. It starts at $90,000. Ours is $105,000. This one has seating for 5. It's the only one that does not have seating for 7. All other full-size SUVs in the Range Rover family have a 3rd row option. The Range Rover line, Range Rover Sport, and other Range Rover vehicles have been really popular among influencers and A-listers for a long time. It is the ultimate luxury influencer, but here's the great news. At $100,000, it's actually pretty accessible for a luxury car and for something so influential. This is the 2024 Aston Martin DB12. The 2024 Aston Martin DB12 marks a new era for Aston Martin. It's actually the first car that they have produced under their new leadership, and they've done a lot of really interesting things. They've also done some things that are pretty smart. First of all, it looks like an Aston Martin DB. It has kept its iconic shape and scale. The interior is completely new, and the biggest surprise is under the hood, there is a twin-turbo V8, which actually produces a 1/3 more horsepower than the outgoing V12 at 671 horsepower. It carries an AMG engine, which is built by Mercedes-Benz, which likes to call its twin turbos bi-turbos. Even though it carries an AMG engine, everything else in this car is Aston Martin. Aston Martin does all the tuning, the suspension, they customize the engine, they customize the drive modes, everything is bespoke Aston Martin. Aston Martin says, even though this is a GT, which stands for Grand Touring, this is not actually a Grand Touring car, it is a Super Touring car. It is designed to be a sports car that you drive fast as you go places. Aston Martin was once considered the provenance of British royalty, and now Aston Martin is a brand that you see throughout the United States and throughout the world. The DB12 is great for both track and street driving. It has a small trunk. It actually has seating for 4. That back seat, I think, might be better off for a small dog or a bag of groceries. But if you want to take it on the track, that is where it's going to be really at home. It is designed to go around tight curves really fast, and it has customizable drive modes that will allow you even more fun on the track. The interior of the Aston Martin is classic, but a completely new design. There are 2 10-inch displays. There's a panel with lots of controls right in the center, and everything in the interior that isn't glass, gloss, or metal is leather. And the leather is made by the Bridge of Weir leather makers in England. The style of the seats are more like a bespoke handbag than they are like a sports car. There's a leather covered steering wheel, which is flat on the bottom. That is iconic for sports cars, which makes it faster to get in and out of the car. You'll also see on the steering wheel and attached to the wheel are the paddle shifters, upshift and downshift here. And that is what you have to use when you put it in manual mode. The 10-inch multimedia display really brings Aston Martin into a modern era. Tap the little car icon at the top and you get drive modes. You can customize all your lights. There are climate controls here. The drive mode selector is here, and this is something that we're seeing on a lot of cars these days. BMW has something similar. So you pull it back for drive, push it forward for reverse, push the button for park, and then when you put it into drive, you can pop it in manual. So it starts up and it tells us that we are in GT mode. But if we want to dial it to a different mode, all I do is dial this ring around the start button. So the base price for the Aston Martin DB12 is $245,000. But once you start to have a little fun with the interior, with a lot of the materials and some of the customization, including this beautiful purple paint, our test model comes out at just a shade over $323,000. Aston Martin is known for its bright and very customizable paint colors, but probably the most bespoke detail, it's not unique to every customer, but it is bespoke to Aston Martin, is the badge. There's one on the front, one on the rear, one on the steering wheel, and they are handmade by a jeweler just for Aston Martin. Probably the most beloved thing about the DB11 was that V12 engine. Well, with a third more horsepower and improved driving dynamics, owners of the DB12 are not going to be disappointed. We are at the Manhattan Motor Cars exhibit at the New York Auto Show, which is filled with exotics and supercars. This might be one of the more affordable supercars here at the New York Auto Show. This is the Lamborghini Revuelto. It is the first plug-in electric hybrid from Lamborghini, but don't let that fool you. It's not about efficiency, it is about performance. The Revuelto is a supercar that has a hybrid electric powertrain, a V12 engine, but it also has a plug-in battery that helps to smooth out the torque when you're changing gears. The Revuelto is priced at about $600,000. It's really expensive for a Lamborghini. Those you typically see priced in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, so it is a premium car from Lamborghini, and it has all the things that we love about Lamborghini. All of the controls for the driver, things such as windshield wipers and turn signals, are actually incorporated into the steering wheel so that you don't have to move your hands very far from the steering wheel. One of the cool things about the Lamborghini design is how you even start the car. There's a little red aluminum door on the center console. You lift it and then you push the starter to get the car started, to bring it to a roar. The Lamborghini Revuelto, like all Lamborghinis, has paddle shifters. And the paddle shifters are actually the same style that were designed by Ferrari's engineers when they were first invented. They're attached to the steering column rather than the steering wheel for maximum efficiency on the track. If they're on the column, the driver will never forget which one is upshift and which one is downshift because they'll always be in the same place. They won't turn with the steering wheel. In true Italian style, Lamborghini gave Italian names to the drive modes. The drive modes are Strada, Corsa, and Sport, which means street, course, as in track, and sport. And then there's also full electric mode. So you can drive this plug-in hybrid electric in pure electric mode, but it only goes about 5 miles in all electric. And that's because the electric power is really designed to give you more torque rather than all electric driving. A car like Lamborghini is really chosen for the opportunity to drive it on a track, the prestige that it brings driving it on the street. It's a reward for a career height for a job well done. They're popular with athletes, they're popular with celebrities who have that disposable income. It's not really a great daily driver for things like going to the grocery store. There really is no place to put your grocery bag or your backpack other than on the seat next to you or on the floor, which is where you might have a companion who thinks your car is really cool too. This is the 2025 Genesis GV80 Coupe. You can really tell the passion that a car designer brings to a car when they design something like this. The GV80 Coupe is built on the same platform as the GV80 SUV, but what Genesis designers did was elevate the details in this car to take it from an SUV that is beautiful to a sporty coupe-style SUV. The GV80 Coupe takes the top-of-the-line GV80 powertrain, which is a 3.5-liter 6-cylinder turbo that produces 375 horsepower, and that is the entry-level model. And then they added a supercharger with a hybrid battery power system that elevates the horsepower to over 400. Genesis delivers not only an exceptional experience in the car with top-of-the-line materials, Napa leather, and beautiful Alcantara suede, but it has an incredible user experience as well, with a beautiful screen, easy to use, elegant to look at, tiles on that screen, and a mood curator that allows you to set the mood in the cabin with lighting, music, air, and fragrance. The interior of the Genesis GV80 Coupe is an elevated version of the GV80. It starts with this really beautiful leather-wrapped steering wheel in a two-tone color, and right beyond it you will see this panel. This is actually woven carbon fiber. You'll see that also here on the door panels, here on the center console, and then here is a retractable panel, which is a perfect place to put your key, but you can also stow a phone in there because that is a wireless charger. Above, you'll see this control panel for climate. Down here in the command center, there is a fingerprint authenticator here so you can use biometrics to start and drive the car. And then there is a glass-rimmed dial gear selector with the park button right there in the middle. The entire treatment is to feel special and elegant, but also to reinforce the performance idea of the GV80 Coupe. New for the 2025 model is this 27-inch screen. On the steering wheel, Genesis places the driver assist features on the left side and entertainment on the right side. On the left side is where you'll be able to also customize the driver display. On the drive mode selector, the Genesis GV80 Coupe gives you several different selections: Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and then there's Snow mode. It's notable that in Sport and Sport Plus, not only does the engine get a little louder, but the seat bolsters actually hug you a little bit to keep you even more firmly planted in your seat. Another nice feature is the digital rear view mirror. So this allows you to toggle between a reflective view and a video view behind the car. The finished details in the Genesis GV80 Coupe are really notable and something that you might find in a truly luxury car, even a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce. Genesis paid a lot of attention to the rear seats as well. Not only are they covered in the same beautiful leather that is quilted and double stitched, but they're power. These rear seats are power. So you can push the button to fold them down, and they power recline to a pretty nice angle if you feel like taking a nap. The cargo area is quite large, and Genesis really thought about all of these details. So they covered this cargo cover in Alcantara suede. It's the same micro suede that we see throughout the interior. It can even move very easily if you need to move it out of the way. The buyer of the GV80 Coupe is somebody who really loves the sporty look and feel of this car, but needs the space and the flexibility and the ground clearance of an SUV. The GV80 Coupe starts at just under $80,000 and tops out at just under $90,000. The GV80 Coupe has a lot of performance details, from the quad exhaust tips, the spoilers, and the sport brakes. although this really is more of a luxury car. But what that does tell us, and what we saw last year at the New York Auto Show, is that a performance variant of the GV80 Coupe is probably on the horizon. This is the Rimac Nevera. It is the newest all-electric car from the 15-year-old Croatian supercar builder. This car is actually built in Croatia, and it is probably the most expensive car at the New York Auto Show. It has an MSRP that starts at $2.1 million. Now, if you want to know why it's so expensive, well, it has an all-electric powertrain, it has the largest battery in any electric car, and it generates almost 1,900 horsepower. But even better than that, it will hit 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. If you're interested in taking a test drive in the Rimac, you make an appointment, you go to the factory, and that's an experience on its own because you will take a test drive on their track with their engineers. If you decide that you want to buy it, then you can sit with their product planners and plan your interior, plan the exterior details, and really make it yours. This one is outfitted with a lot of details on the exterior that take the price up to $2.4 million. The Rimac Nevera is actually considered a hypercar rather than a supercar, and that is not only that 0 to 60 performance, which is the first car to ever hit that in under 2 seconds, but of all the materials, the carbon fiber, and the engineering, everything is bespoke in this car, including the battery. Rimac actually manufactures the battery themselves. They don't buy it from a supplier. They're actually more of an investment than they are just a car. They actually tend to go up in value, they go up in price. You'll see a lot of them at dealerships, and then you actually will also see them in the auctions and places like Pebble Beach, where luxury and exotic cars go for second and third and fourth sales and tend to go up in price from their original MSRP. People who buy these love to show them off in places like Miami Beach or at car shows or car events. Often they will take them out on a track. They'll have a track membership and drive them there where they really get to put them to work and show off those 1,000+ horsepower engines or motors that give them a race car type feel in a really beautiful, luxurious car. We're one of the first ever to see the Lamborghini Urus SE, which is a plug-in electric hybrid. It was just introduced last week at the Beijing Auto Show, and it now has made its way to New York, and we're among the first to climb inside and get a look around. Super SUVs are SUVs that are super powered. They are built for the track. They have probably 3-second or so 0 to 60 and something approaching 800 or more horsepower. But they have the spirit and the DNA of a track car, but also the daily function of an SUV. Lamborghini introduced the Urus after much popularity of its sports cars. Consumers wanted an SUV. So owner Volkswagen built on the platform of the Porsche Cayenne and the Audi Q8 to turn the Lamborghini brand into an SUV. The Lamborghini Urus SE is the most powerful Urus that the company has built. It builds on the S model, which was the most powerful, adding E for electric with a plug-in electric hybrid powertrain. It adds a 25.7 kilowatt battery and motor, but it also adds the plug-in capability, so you can plug it in for about 35 or so all-electric driving miles. If you plug it in every day, you can drive 35 miles in electric, but that's not the point about this car. The point is adding all of this extra power. It gets it almost to 800 horsepower, 789 they say in the United States, 800 they say in Europe, depending on how you calculate that number. Either way, it's the most powerful Lamborghini that they built in the Urus model. There's been a lot of redesign in the Urus for this particular model, and that starts with a much larger display screen. It's a big SUV, and there's a lot of space on the dashboard. Below that is the same display that we had before. It's new software, so it will look and feel a little different than the last model, but not a lot. And it's a smaller, about a 10-inch display. And that's where you're going to find a lot of the controls and climate and things like that. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all the things that we're used to seeing in our cars. What hasn't changed is the way you start and drive this car. That is all pure Lamborghini. So the beauty of a car like this is you can drive it every day, you can drive it fast on the track on the weekends, you can take it up to the mountains and the twisty roads, you can drive it off-road if you want. So there are 11 drive modes. It all makes total sense. So if you start with the original Lamborghini, there is Strada, which means street, there's Sport, which of course means sport, Corso, which means course or track. And then when it comes to the electrified motor, there's the hybrid, which gives you the gas and electric power for whatever drive mode you've selected. Recharge, which is going to hold the battery power and not use the battery power at all. And then there is performance. So this is going to maximize the electric output with your track setting here. And then if you add to that the off-road modes, which is Terra for off-road, Neve for snow, and Sapia for sand, those are the modes that are designed for off-road. How will people use it? They're going to have fun with it, but they're also going to drive it every day. If you buy something this beautiful, you should drive it every day. The Urus SE isn't just the newest Lamborghini, it's also the one with the biggest opening price tag. It starts at about $258,000, and that's about a $25,000 bump from the Urus S. The Lamborghini Urus was a little controversial when it was first introduced. Purists said, how can a Lamborghini be an SUV? But since then, it's become Lamborghini's bestseller. And in fact, last year, the Urus represented 60% of Lamborghini sales. That was more than 6,000 units. So people who really want the SE can get their orders in now. Delivery should start by the end of the year. We're going to start seeing this one on the road really quickly. This is the 2024 BMW X5 M Competition. BMW redesigned the flagship 5 Series with more modern technology on the inside, a lot more luxury, and new power under the hood. The base model X5 is priced starting at about $66,000, and it's powered by a 6-cylinder twin turbo that produces 375 horsepower. But we're looking at the top of the line, which is the M5 Competition. This is powered by a V8 twin turbo that produces 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. BMW went with the idea of a jeweled look that's very faceted. But one of the more interesting details are the wheels. On the front, we have 21-inch wheels. On the rear, they're 22-inch wheels. And of course, because they're performance tires, they are run flats. As the top of the line, the BMW M5 Competition has a starting price of about $120,000. The model that we're looking at with all of the options, $140,000. For your $140,000, you get a lot of sports car technology, but inside there is a lot of luxury. The interior of the BMW X5 carries all the same new technology and new features that we see in all of the 5 Series for 2024. It starts with this really beautiful flat dash. Ours is covered in carbon fiber, and then this curved panoramic screen that has a wide multimedia system over here, and then a configurable driver display in front of the driver. You have a lot of apps here, and it is a touch screen, but there is an iDrive dial that you can use to control the screen as well. It also has this. Hey BMW, change the cabin temperature to 66 degrees.
66 degrees Fahrenheit for the entire vehicle.
A lot of the features in the BMW can be automated through voice-activated assistants. So all you have to do is ask for what you want, and the system can do quite a lot of things. Another thing that you'll see on the touchscreen is this. This is where you will find your drive modes. You have road mode, which is for comfort, sport mode, and track mode, which allows you to really set up your competition and drive the car the way it's intended to be driven. Once you've set up your M settings, you can save them. That's what these red tabs are here. And anytime you get in the car, you tap that red tab and your settings are there for you. Also on the steering wheel, you'll find paddle shifters, carbon fiber paddle shifters for manual driving. On the command center, you'll find the new shifter. There's also this little thing, and this allows you to set your exhaust note. The X5 competition comes with a lot of luxuries. For $120,000 it should. Among them are this panoramic sunroof is a standard feature. And this one, if you can see there are dots in the glass, that's because that's LED lighting. There's a micro suede headliner above, Bowers & Wilkins speaker head covers, a lot of soft touch materials, this really beautiful leather interior. Also standard on the X5M competition are heated seats, heated steering wheel, and a heated armrest in the center. The cargo area of the BMW X5 is notable for its design. It gives you a lot of function by offering a clamshell opening. And then like an SUV, the seats fold down. BMW is so thoughtful, it even has a pneumatic arm that keeps the floor elevated. So if you're trying to get that spare tire out of there, you don't have the cargo floor hitting you on the head. It's rare that an SUV is roundly applauded by experts and enthusiasts, but this one is, and that's after they drove it on the track. The BMW X5, especially the M competition, with the power, the handling, and the performance, really won the hearts of enthusiasts. This is the INEOS Grenadier. You might know the INEOS name if you're an F1 fan. INEOS is the chemical company that provides all the fuel for F1 racing, founded by billionaire Jim Ratcliffe. When Ratcliffe first dreamed of this car, he did it at his favorite pub in London, the Grenadier. The Grenadier that we see today fulfills all those dreams that Ratcliffe had. It's boxy, it's large, and it can be accessorized to do anything and everything you want a true off-roader to do. Priced at about $76,000 for the entry-level model and mid-$80,000 for the 1924 edition. If you start to add all of those options and accessories, the price can go up to $100,000. Ratcliffe hired some of the brightest people in the automotive industry to build the Grenadier. BMW provides the turbo 6-cylinder engine that powers this, and it generates 282 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. INEOS also went to notable components maker ZF or ZF to provide a lot of the components, including the transmission. The exterior starts with BF Goodrich all-terrain tires that keep it at a lofty level. It has a really high ground clearance, and that's why it can ford up to 41 inches of water. Also notable are the fog lights and the headlights. They're round and iconic. Starting the INEOS Grenadier is very old school. You actually have to use a key. It's also very novel and very innovative. The look and feel of the front cabin is not really what you might have seen in other old school SUVs. In fact, there's no driver display here. There's a tiny little screen here. This is a pedestrian or bicyclist horn, which is very different than the horn you might need to signal an oncoming car, which is much louder. There is a center screen. This is where you're going to find your speed and other driver feedback details. The reason this is over here and not in front of the driver is to keep the driver's view wide and open and unobstructed by screens or other things. The most iconic thing about the INEOS Grenadier, though, is all the switchgear. It starts at the command center here, it is on the center console here, and then it actually, like the cockpit of an airplane, is on the ceiling as well. The 1924 edition is notable for not only the partnership with Belstaff, but there are only 1,924 models built. Ours is number one of those 1,924. And inside, you'll see there are some key details that show us that it's the Belstaff edition. You can get rock rails that act as a running board for getting into the INEOS Grenadier. This is a tall car. It seats 5 passengers. The rear seat is very comfortable. And if you need to, these seats fold down for extra cargo space. On the rear of the INEOS Grenadier, there's a lot to see. There's a tow hitch. This can tow up to 7,700 pounds. There is a ladder on the rear door for accessing the roof rails. And then it is a dual opening rear door. So it has this very iconic push button door handle. And the small door opens for easy access to things in the cargo area. But if you need access to the entire cargo area, it's really easy to just pull it open, and it opens nice and wide. The Grenadier is available in 4 different trims for now. There is the station wagon, the Fieldmaster, the Quartermaster, which is a pickup truck, and this one, the 1924 edition. With the huge secondary market that there's been for Land Rover Defenders, it's not a surprise that someone came up with something like the Grenadier. It is everything that you imagine that the Land Rover Defender was and could be, and then so much more. That cockpit style, switch gear, the ruggedness, and all its capability makes it truly a bucket list car.
This is our all-new Mustang GTD supercar, a top-of-the-line Mustang. So the Mustang lineup is very diverse. So we start with EcoBoost, we go to GT, Dark Horse, and then top-of-the-line GTD. So we've got a Mustang for everyone, a wide range. So this is our track-capable car. So really whatever you're looking for, we have on the showroom. GTD stands for Grand Touring Daytona. There's an IMSA racing class that we race in, and this is representing that class. It's a kind of homage to that. 800 plus horsepower, track capable, so magnesium wheels. The rear wing has active aero. So if you think of like a Formula One car, it opens and closes. So when you're on a straight, you want it open for more aero. And when you're in a corner, you want it closed so that it has the downforce to keep you on the track. The vehicle will be available early next year, 2025, estimated starting around $300,000. You have to have an application to buy one. You'll submit an application through your dealer, Ford reviews it, and then we contact you to start the process of buying it. So we look for people who have bought previous Mustangs, who have Ford GTs. There's a car community that has car garages at tracks, that has other supercars, and that's the kind of buyer that we're looking for here, to take it on a weekend, go drive it, and expose it to the world instead of keeping it in a garage under a cover. It's really meant for that person who wants to drive at the track, and it's a hell of a car.
This is the 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Lincoln has really rethought how we spend our time in our cars and how time in our cars can be time well spent. Quiet flight is the philosophic idea behind Lincoln these days, to move fast and swiftly, but also luxuriously. The new face of the Lincoln Nautilus is noted by the illuminated Lincoln badge and the light bar that spans the entire mesh grille. We have new headlights and a wing-shaped LED on the side running light. The door handles on the Lincoln Nautilus don't move. There is a pad on the inside. It's digital, so you just press that pad and the door opens. There's also keyless entry here. If you notice those chimes, those are not your typical chimes in a car. Those chimes are performed by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and that's just the start of what is different about Lincoln. I'm going to show you this though. Check this out. This is what they call the coast-to-coast screen. You can customize the coast-to-coast screen by doing this. You just tap this little icon here on the multimedia system, and then you can move things around. The steering wheel is called a squircle. It's flat on the top and flat on the bottom, and it's actually even dark on top and light on the bottom. The whole idea is to give you maximum visibility of everything in front of you from the driver's seat. As I swipe my finger around this pad here, I can see the different functions that are being highlighted there. And the same on the other side, on the left side of the steering wheel. If looking at the screen and finding the function is too much, then I can do this. Hey Google. And the voice activated assistance is here to help me do everything. And we can access anything that we can access through our Google account, from messages and email to our maps, and we can even set our map destination, say, on our phone, and then access it here on the screen in the Lincoln Nautilus. This is where I will find my drive modes: normal, conserve, which is eco, excite, which is sport, slippery, which is for rain or gravel, and then deep conditions, which is for snow. And then I want to show you this. So there's actually a digital scent diffuser inside the armrest, and I can install 3 at a time. They cost $30 each, but I can change that. I believe there are up to 7 different options. This is our volume dial. It's this really beautiful cut crystal dial, but this dial is a really elegant anchor for the center console. There's a retractable lid for the center console, and this houses the wireless charge pad. There's a place here to tuck a phone if you want to plug it in with a USB, and then there are cup holders here. Lincoln's partnership with Revel Sound Systems has created not only a really beautiful concert hall-like sound, but also pairing with the fragrance diffuser, with the massage seats, and with the temperature control of the airflow in the cabin is something Lincoln calls rejuvenate mode, to be able to clear your head and enjoy a massage, enjoy a calming view, enjoy a beautiful piece of music, and then go into the rest of your day in a different mindset. The rear seat of the Lincoln Nautilus is actually really spacious. The interiors in the Lincoln Nautilus, as all modern Lincolns, are themed. Ours is called Chalet. It's also notable for the perforated pattern, the contrast stitching, the piping. These are the kinds of details that you see in the highest quality luxury cars. Lincoln offers two engine options in the Nautilus. There is a 4-cylinder turbo that delivers 250 horsepower. Then there's a 4-cylinder hybrid that increases the horsepower output to 310. Pricing starts at about $50,000. There are 3 trims. There's the Lincoln Nautilus, there is the Reserve, and there is the Black Label. The Black Label tops out at something over $75,000. For $50,000, yes. For $75,000, wow. The technology in this car is really groundbreaking. This is the 2024 Chevrolet Traverse. For 2024, the Traverse has been completely redesigned top to bottom. It has new multimedia, new user experience, new engine under the hood, new capability, and even a new model, the Z71, which is the one that we are test driving this week. The Chevy Traverse is the crossover SUV that many automakers benchmark against because it is unbeaten for passenger space, cargo space, headroom, legroom in a 3-row crossover SUV that has all-wheel drive as an option for $2,000. The redesign of the Chevy Traverse really sought to bring in truck-like details. It's inspired by the Suburban and the Tahoe, with a more square rear end and a more square front end. And then there's a sport detail. The quad exhaust tips are actually inspired by the Corvette. The Chevy Traverse is available in 4 trim levels: LS, LT, RS, and then the Z71, which is the new trim for 2024. The Chevy Traverse is available with seating for 7 or 8 passengers, and for 2024, you can get Super Cruise. For $3,700, you can add this hands-free highway driving system. It gives you 3 years of hands-free use, and then it's a subscription after that. But if you really appreciate being able to drive hands-free on the highway, you're gonna love this. To activate Super Cruise, you just turn on your adaptive cruise control, and then you hit this little steering wheel icon on the steering wheel, and you'll see this green light here, and you'll get a cruise braking notification in the driver information screen. It also has auto lane change assist. So I've activated auto lane change, and now it's noting the speed and the position of the car ahead of us and the speed and the position of the car behind us, and it changed lanes for us. And so the system stopped working. That red light is designed to tell the driver, time for you to take over. Not only has the exterior of the Chevy Traverse been redesigned, but so has the entire user experience. There's a 15-inch screen here. There's a 12-inch driver display here. Up here is our main toolbar. This is our home button, and this is where we're going to find all of the functions on the screen that are key to driving this car. Also new for 2024 is this 12-inch driver display. It's really crisp and clear, and you can customize it by pushing this button on the steering wheel. Chevrolet has actually moved the gear selector, so it's now a stock gear selector. You pull it towards you and down for drive or up for reverse. Push the button on the end for park. Seats in the second row are really wide. There's a lot of space here. And then they have this. They slide and tilt forward, which can be done with a child passenger car seat installed. If you have the bench seat, this is how you're going to get into the third row. If you have the captain's chairs, you can use the pass-through, or you can slide and tilt the seats forward. The cargo area of the Chevy Traverse is notable for being quite sizable and actually gives you a fair amount of space behind the third row, which seats 3, for lots of stuff. And when you pull this, the headrests go down and the seats will fold down easily. Pricing starts at about $38,000, tops out at about $56,000. Our test model has a $46,000 price tag, but with all the additions comes in at about $52,000. The Chevy Traverse is a really great option for growing families. It's really comfortable and very functional for the driver. Kids are going to be happy. A lot of flexibility in seating configuration and comfort for everyone. This is the Lucid Air. Lucid is an electric car company that came into the market not all that long ago and has really changed the game. The Lucid Air is a luxury sedan and it comes in a number of trims. There is the Lucid Air Pure, the Touring, the Grand Touring, and the Sapphire, which produces 1,200 horsepower and is priced at $250,000. Lucid really gained traction when Peter Rawlinson, the CEO and Chief Technical Officer, joined from Tesla, where he had designed the Model S. From there, he helped to develop the Lucid Air, as well as batteries that are used by Formula E, which is the all-electric racing arm of Formula One. Lucid is known for producing sedans that have among the longest ranges of electric cars, but also deliver a lot of horsepower. The model that we're driving, the Grand Touring, has a 400-mile range and produces 620 horsepower. But if you move up to the Grand Touring, that has a 519-mile range and 800 horsepower. One of the things that's very iconic about Lucid is it is designed and built in the United States. They're headquartered in San Francisco, and that is where their cars are all designed, and then they're built in Arizona. Because they are California designed and owned, the icon, or sort of the mascot of the Lucid, is the California Grizzly. And you can find these Easter eggs throughout the interior and exterior of the Lucid Air. Lucid's design approach is really unique. They think about everything from the ground up. Chief of Design Derek Jenkins, who came from Mazda, brought a really fresh perspective to how they approach their interiors. The wide battery pack underneath the chassis of the Lucid Air creates a really large, spacious cabin. In fact, the rear seat feels more like a luxury car or a car that might be chauffeur-driven than one that you might want to drive yourself. But slide behind the wheel and you'll definitely want to be in charge. Everything there is really fresh and unique. The interior of the Lucid Air is notable for this screen here. So it's a curved single piece of glass, and almost all the function inside the car is here or on this other panel here that's called the pilot panel. And the cool thing about this is you can actually move functions between this screen and that screen. And if you decide you don't want to see this screen, or you'd like to access the secret compartment behind it, all you do is that to get it out of the way. And now we have this really nice large compartment back here. To get it back, just tap there. On the steering wheel, we have basic controls here and some toggle controls here on either side. And we have stalks for windshield wipers and for our gear selector. Really elegant and easy to use. One of the iconic things about the Lucid Air is its glass canopy roof. It's a glass panel that extends from the hood all the way up to the center of the roofline where there's a structure pillar, and then more glass beyond that to the back window. Lucid's drive modes are Smooth, Swift, and Sprint, which is maximum power and torque, and you actually have to click confirm to be able to use that. With all that power under the hood, Lucid rethought how drive modes work. So you can front load all of that horsepower, all of that torque, all at once just by flooring the accelerator. The exterior of the Lucid Air is really unique. It has a really beautiful, elegant, streamlined look to it. There's a really unique light signature that lights up when you approach the car with your key fob and sort of gives you a little winky goodbye when you walk away. By the end of this year, we're going to see the very first three-row SUV from Lucid. It's also been completely rethought from the ground up for function for families or people who just really need a large SUV, but still a 400 to 500 mile range on the battery and a lot of horsepower underfoot. This is the 2024 Mazda CX-90. It is the new flagship from Mazda, and it replaces the very popular CX-9. Not long ago, Mazda was considered a budget brand. Their cars were not very expensive and they were really fun to drive. Well, Mazda then decided that they wanted to keep their customers in their cars longer, so they began the journey to being a premium brand. The Mazda CX-90, which carries the most premium details, still carries that Mazda DNA. The grille on the Mazda CX-90 has a completely new design and a large Mazda badge that anchors the grille. Probably the most iconic detail on the CX-90 though are the inline badges on the front fenders. That designates Mazda's inline 6-cylinder engine. There are 3 different engine options on the Mazda CX-90. We are driving the Turbo Premium Plus model. The Turbo model has a 6-cylinder engine that delivers 280 horsepower. Then there is the Turbo S, and the Turbo S gives you a choice of good or better horsepower. So 319 if you're using regular fuel, or 340 horsepower if you're using premium fuel. And then there is a plug-in hybrid option. That is a 4-cylinder engine, and that delivers 319 horsepower using regular gas, or 323 using premium. Mazda did not reinvent the wheel, they just evolved the wheel. So you'll see some features that are very familiar. The 3-spoke steering wheel is here. We've got entertainment functions here, driver assist and adaptive cruise features here. There is a new gear selector, so we do have a new gear shifter here. This is basically your drive mode selector for sport, normal, and off-road. And then the last few years of Mazda's SUVs and sedans have had a similarly sized screen and a similar function. So none of this is different. It was always really good, and Mazda has left it as is for the Mazda CX-90. Another detail that Mazda engineers have deemed very important for driving safety is head-up display. And so almost all Mazdas either come standard with head-up display or have it as an option, so that you'll always have that key information right in front of you. On the interior of the Mazda CX-90, really the idea is to create a cabin of calm. Mazda puts a lot of stock in the quality of its materials. We'll see fabric on the dashboard or perhaps open pore wood. In the Premium Plus model that we're in, we have white Napa leather that covers all the surfaces where you would touch something. So maybe the dashboard, the door panels, the armrests, and of course the seats. A really beautiful feature that Mazda's been big on since they started designing modern SUVs is this, the panoramic sunroof. In a family-focused SUV, third row access is really important, and Mazda knows this. So the center row seats are slide and tilt. Just pull this tab on the shoulder and they tilt and slide forward, and you can actually slide them forward with the child passenger car seat installed. If you have a second row bench, this is how you're going to get into the third row. The Mazda CX-90 starts at about $39,000. It's priced to about $59,000. The Premium Plus edition that we're driving comes in at $52,000. Mazda's journey to being a premium brand really thinks about the customer, delivering that zoom experience that their customers have grown to enjoy while giving them the comforts and the premium features and details that they've come to expect in their cars. This is the 2024 Bentley Continental GT Convertible. Bentley is a classic super luxury car. The heritage of bespoke car making goes back 100 years or more. On the Continental GT here, we see a lot of classic details. That round Bentley shape that we find not only on the headlights, but also inside the car, and those classic Bentley taillights. But if you really want that classic look and feel, get it while you can, because in 2025, the Bentley Continental is getting a makeover. The model that we're looking at is powered by a twin-turbo V8 gas-powered engine. Much love for its power and for its throaty sound, but those who really love it better get it now. The 2025 model, that V8 is going to be replaced by a plug-in hybrid. The V8 engine in the Bentley Continental GT, as well as V12 in other Bentley models, are really a hallmark of luxury, because even though they are not performance cars, they're not built for the track, the ability to tap the accelerator and go quickly is luxury. When you buy a Bentley, you don't just go to the dealer and pick out a color. You actually work with their design team to assemble the entire interior. And they'll also help you to pick colors, textures, metals that go with your personality, that complement your lifestyle. In the model that we're looking at, this is a very beach-inspired model with the azure blue on the outside, the denim leather on the inside, the cream color that's sort of a sand hue, and then there is wood that might remind you of sea oats or might remind you of seashells, and then there's black gloss, complemented by all the chrome. It feels like a watch band or a piece of jewelry that's been handcrafted. We see it on a lot of the controls on the center console. The rims of all the dials are covered in textured metal. We even see textured metal on the steering wheel and on the stalks for the windshield wipers and the turn signal. On the center console, there is the Bentley badge in the middle of the gear selector. The stop-start button is right here in the center of the console. And you can turn the dial on the stop-start button to set your drive mode from Sport, B, Comfort, or Custom, and this allows you to customize your drive setting. And then the controls for the convertible top are right here. Probably the most popular feature in every Bentley is this. You ready? This instantly gives the Bentley a very old school heritage feel. You have a magnetic compass here, we have gauges on either side, so we can maybe pay attention to things that are going on with the engine or just feel like we are. And then when we want to see the screen, we can tap that button again and we get our multimedia screen. We have more functions here. You can customize the car. Here, that's the setting for the head-up display. This particular version has night vision and Bentley Safeguard that's going to prevent you from crashing into the car in front of you. And then you can use this to turn on your massage seat. Both front passengers have a massage seat. On the steering wheel, we have drive assist features over here, and you can actually customize your driver display by toggling through using this dial, and then you just press it for OK when you find something that you'd like. On this side we have voice assist, and this allows us to select our media over here, as well as turn on the heated steering wheel. The Bentley Continental GT convertible starts at $320,000. Our test model has $45,000 worth of options, including stitching, piping, and other interior details, for a total price of about $370,000. A lot of luxury and exotic cars are really only intended for driving on special occasions. That is not the case in the Bentley Continental GT. This is designed to live your luxury every day. There's 2 seats in the back if you need to bring passengers. There's a sizable trunk. It's probably not going to fit luggage for 4, but it will fit a couple of tote bags for a weekend away. But there's ample space for the driver and passenger to put down the top and let the wind flow through their hair. This is the 2025 Porsche Panamera. It's been redesigned for 2025, more of an evolution than a revolution, which is typical of luxury brands. The idea is to take the overall look and feel and just refine it and modernize it. New headlights, new taillights, refined lines. Essentially, though, it's designed to be everything that the 911 is, except for with 4 doors and seating 4 passengers. When it comes to powertrain, there are multiple options, so you can choose what you like. We are driving the base model, 6-cylinder twin turbo that produces 348 horsepower. There is a 6-cylinder 4E hybrid, a 4SE hybrid, the GTS. The most powerful, however, is a plug-in hybrid, the Turbo SE, and that puts out 771 horsepower, but it also comes with a price tag of $226,000. So to get that 911 experience, Porsche really worked on the air suspension and 4-wheel steering. Even though this is a 4-door, 4-passenger sedan, it still has the agility that the Porsche 911 has. The design and the silhouette of the Porsche Panamera is so iconic that is what Porsche went with in designing the Taycan. They look very similar. The major difference is the Taycan is all electric and the Panamera is either all gas or hybrid. You know it's a Porsche if the starter is on the left side of the steering wheel. Engineers way back in the day decided to put the starter on the left side because it would be faster to start the car for a race. This is the first time the Panamera has had an actual starter button. That's a very modern new detail. Another modern new detail is the gear shifter, which is right here. This is something that we first saw in the Taycan, and now we're starting to see it in more Porsches, and that is sort of this toggle style gear selector. On the steering wheel is where you'll find your drive mode selector, and you just dial through the drive modes you want, normal, sport, or sport plus. When I push this button in the middle of the drive mode selector, it gives me a 20-second countdown. So if I floor the accelerator, it will front load all of the torque in this car for a launch style drive. New for 2025 are all the screens. There is a new driver display screen here, and it's designed to fit right underneath the steering wheel. Embedded into the dashboard is this new driver display here. There's an optional display for the front passenger as well. One thing that's really interesting though is this air conditioning button. So our air conditioning controls are actually over here, but if you want to angle the air vents, you're going to do that on this screen here. There are no physical ways to change the direction of airflow on the vents themselves. One of the design details that you'll find in the Porsche Panamera, even though this is the base model, it still has leather here. It has really beautiful textured metal surrounding the center console, a lot of gloss black, and it lends a very elegant feeling in the Porsche Panamera. Ours is also upholstered in cream white leather. That also lends a very refined feeling. Whichever powertrain you choose in the Porsche Panamera, you can't go wrong. It's really the suspension, the handling, and the perfect balance that make it so track-worthy. It's such a thrill to drive. This is the 2025 Bentley Continental GT Speed First Edition. It's rare that Bentley redesigns its cars top to bottom, but this represents a full transformation of the Bentley Continental, one of the most popular super luxury coupes on the road. The design of the Bentley Continental GT starts with the idea of jewelry. This is the biggest piece of jewelry and maybe the most expensive piece of jewelry some people will ever own. It starts with the crystal cut headlights, which have what they call an eyebrow. Above that lighted eyebrow, there are crystal blocks. Below it, the headlights are sort of ice cube style. Altogether, it adds a very modern flair to the Bentley Continental GT. On the rear, the Bentley Continental is notable for its new tail lights. They are horizontal teardrops, crystal cut, glowing red, and there's no chrome surround to them as they had in the past. As controversial as it is to replace a 12-cylinder gas-powered engine with a V8 and a plug-in hybrid electric, this one produces more power. 771 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. Also notable, and probably part of the controversy, is when you turn on this car, it's completely silent. What that does give you, though, is about 50 miles of all-electric driving range. Turn it over to sport mode, and the V8 engine kicks in. One thing that Bentley didn't change is the silhouette of this car. There are subtle changes to the exterior, but overall, it looks and feels like a Bentley Continental. It has that swoop of the hood line down to the rear spoiler. It has a very beautifully defined front end, and they maintain the wide front grille. Inside, you'll find door panels that are faceted in sort of a diamond cut. That's quite a departure from the leather-covered door panels of the last edition. You'll also find textured metal dials that feel sort of like a watch bezel in your hand. And on the rotating display, you'll find bezel set gauges that are crystal topped, just like a watch. Changes to the interior of the Bentley Continental are actually a little subtle. A lot of the things that you'll see here were rolled out in the prior model, including the center console and the steering wheel. But you'll still see the same proportions of leather and trim details that we saw in the prior model. What is different is how this car drives. If you want to drive the Bentley Continental just in electric, you can tap E mode. If you don't want to drive in electric, you can actually just turn that off. If you want to use all 771 horsepower, you're going to dial it over here to sport mode, and that's where you'll hear the engine. You can also turn it to B mode, which is sort of sport mode light. The real magic about owning a Bentley is you don't just buy a Bentley, you commission one. There are over 4 million combinations of colors and textures and finishes and materials that you get to choose from when you're designing your Bentley. Ultimately, you should have the car that best fits your life and your style. The panels that surround the front and even the rear seats are curved to give you that feel of being in a cocoon. One of the choices that buyers will have is light chrome or dark chrome. And you can see here, this chrome is dark, but the chrome that surrounds this watch bezel is light. The dark chrome details are nice because there's less glare and there's less flash inside the cabin. But if you choose colors or textures or finishes that could use a little more light, a light chrome finish will add that extra amount of light in the cabin. The Bentley Continental is available in essentially 2 trims. There is the GT Speed and then there is the GTC or convertible. Both can be purchased with the first edition package, which adds another level of detail and also first edition badging. The Bentley Continental is absolutely a delight to drive. The 50 miles of all-electric range gives you the luxury of driving quietly, and it has instant torque. It takes off like a rocket. But dial it into sport mode and all 771 horsepower really set you free. This is the 2024 Lexus GX 550 Overtrail Edition. The Lexus GX was due for a makeover. It's been over a decade since it's had a full redesign. The Lexus GX customer has been really, really loyal. They love this car for its reliability, for its capability, for its ability to go anywhere and to carry lots of people. It seats up to 7 passengers. The Lexus GX 550 starts at about $64,000, which for a luxury car really is pretty reasonable. It tops out at about $77,000. The Overtrail Edition that we're driving actually is one of the more affordable. It starts in the high 60s, as seen here. It's about $71,000. Lexus completely redesigned the interior and the front cabin of the GX. It's very modern and certainly feels redesigned, but it also will feel familiar, which is one of the brilliant things that Lexus did. So all of the features here, our drive modes are here for off-roading, and then we have our gear selector here. It is a traditional standard lever style gear selector, which a lot of people really love. So all very standard and very elegant and nicely edited, nicely designed, not overwhelming. The big news here is in this screen, and it does this. Hey Lexus, navigate to the nearest Starbucks. Lexus customers can subscribe to a cloud-based navigation and information system, or they can use the built-in. It's not super expensive, but it does give you some nice capability, especially if you're off-road, off the grid. It will update constantly, so you'll always have the most up-to-date maps and information loaded into the system. Toyota, which is the parent company of Lexus, hired a team of about 75 people from gaming, from Hollywood, from user experience, from computer companies to design this system. It's really one of the best in the business. Pretty much anything that you'll want to do, you can do right here on this screen. So there's a climate panel here, and then we have this dial on either side that allows you to dial the temperature. There's a volume dial here. All of this can be controlled also with the voice assistant, even things like turning on or off head-up display. You don't have to go into the screen to be able to manage a lot of the functions in the Lexus GX. This is where you're going to find your drive modes and multi-terrain select, as well as crawl control. When I have it in drive mode and I dial this, I can go between custom, sport, normal, comfort, and eco. But if I tap this multi-terrain button here, then I can dial through my off-roading modes. So dirt, sand, mud, or if it snows, this is probably where you want to be. This is going to give you true four-wheel drive. And then you can actually lock the differentials so that you have complete control over traction on each wheel. The cargo area is designed for two things. In the Overtrail edition, for all the gear that you're going to need if you're camping or off-roading, wherever you might go. The luxury and premium trims, though, have a third row available. So you'll notice in here, it's quite a large cargo space, but we do have cup holders here for third row passengers. And then there's a household outlet here, which serves double duty. That's a great thing for campers, but it's also a great thing for kids with computers. Lexus is having a record sales year, and the GX is certainly a part of that. There is a wait list for the Lexus GX, and we're going to see more of them on the road soon. People can't stop talking about this modern classic SUV. This is the Ford Bronco Raptor, and it delivers everything that is Bronco and everything that is Raptor in one package. The Ford Bronco Raptor comes in with a price tag over $90,000. It's the most expensive Bronco that you can get, but it also is the most capable. It has the larger 37-inch tires, it has enhanced suspension, it has additional GOAT modes. GOAT stands for goes over all terrain, and that really is the hallmark of Raptor. Raptor you'll find in the F-150, you'll even find it in their other pickup trucks like the Ranger. And what Raptor does is add that off-road capability and performance to the truck, or in this case, to the Bronco. In addition to normal and sport mode, yes, it does have sport mode, there's also tow haul and off-road, and then it has Baja mode, which will really help you with enhanced suspension and traction on those high-speed off-road trails. The Bronco Raptor is powered by Ford's EcoBoost V6 Turbo that produces 418 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque. It's really powerful. It's the most powerful Bronco that they build. On the inside, you're gonna be spoiled. This is the most beautiful interior on any Bronco. It has everything. It's completely loaded, not just all the technical capabilities, but also all the creature comforts. Most Bronco trims don't have leather seats. They have something that's a little easier to clean, and that's all about the performance aspects. But the Raptor is designed for daily driving and ultimate comfort. So leather seats with suede inserts are an addition that you can add for about $3,000. The interior of the Bronco Raptor is really special. It is the high end, it's the best of the best, and it's noted by not only the classic Bronco shape and organization, but then taking every element up to a higher level. So it starts with the Bronco Raptor wheel, which has the Raptor name down here, and then of course the Bronco logo here. And you have some key off-road capabilities here on the steering wheel, including Raptor mode. So here's the GOAT mode selector. And then if I want to choose 4 low or 4 high or 1 pedal drive. And then this is 1 pedal driving for off-roading. So this allows you to just use the accelerator to drive over hills and not have to rely on your brakes. For optimal off-road capability, you have some quick access buttons here, locking differentials on front and rear, and a stay bar or stabilization bar, sometimes called a sway bar, right here that you can connect or disconnect. Many Broncos don't have these features. You have to do those things manually or have your car modified, but here, these are added to the Ford Bronco Raptor. The Bronco Raptor can tow up to 4,500 pounds, and actually you'll notice there are these orange recovery hooks on the front. That's so this guy can pull other people out of trouble when they get into a situation they can't handle. But 4,500 pounds of towing also means you can bring your jet skis, you can bring other toys, your dirt bikes with you. The ultimate Bronco experience is something you can also get on the Raptor. You can remove all the roof panels and really turn it into a 4-door, 5-passenger convertible. The starting price for the Bronco Raptor is about $90,000. Ours has 2 additional packages, the leather interior, which is about $3,000, and the code orange trim. So you'll notice all the orange details, and that's about $2,500. If you think that $95,000 is a lot for a car, do consider this. When you purchase a Bronco, the Raptor, or any of them, you get a full day of learning to drive off-road at the Ford Bronco Off-Rodeo. You show up and they put you in a Bronco, their Bronco, and they teach you how to use all the features, all the equipment, and you will learn to crawl rocks, ford water, and do everything that this SUV can do. This is the Mercedes-Maybach EQS 680. It is an all-electric, ultra-luxury SUV from Mercedes-Benz. The Maybach brand was born in Germany in the early 1900s. After acquiring the brand, Mercedes introduced Maybach as an ultra-luxury brand in 2002. It paused for a while and returned in 2014. The Maybach EQS 680 is all Maybach. It is ultra-luxury, but it's also EQS. EQS is Mercedes speak for electric intelligence, and EQS designates all of their EVs. The Maybach EQS 680 is powered by a dual motor setup that delivers all-wheel drive and 649 horsepower and has a 280-mile range. The Maybach EQS 680 is designed to be just as fun for front seat passengers as it is for rear seat passengers. When you get into the Maybach EQS, the hyperscreen comes to life. There's a driver display screen behind the steering wheel, a very large screen in the center of the console, and there's even a screen for the passenger. The center of the hyperscreen offers you the most function, however. This is where you'll find navigation, you'll find the electric performance metrics and be able to customize your electric performance. You'll also find comfort mode, which is something really particular to Mercedes. And that is the combination of massage, seat temperature, ambient lighting, a visual effect on the screen, and a fragrance that is piped into the cabin through the HVAC system. And then there are tips, and you can see which of these features, how they're going to help you to relax different parts of your body, especially if you're spending a lot of time behind the wheel of the Mercedes-Maybach. The tuxedo look that we saw on the front of the Mercedes-Maybach, we also see on the interior with this wood and metal center console. Push it forward to reveal a cubby with cup holders and USB chargers. There is a control panel here on the center, and then this little button actually is a fingerprint sensor. Passengers in the rear of the Mercedes-Maybach are really pampered. First of all, they get bolster pillows that have the Maybach logo, and then there are also ultra suede pillows on the backs of the headrests. They're surrounded by quilted, perforated leather that is vented and cooled and has a massage feature. And if that isn't enough, in this console, there are tray tables that fold out and provide a place to put a laptop or maybe write a letter with your quill pen. There is a screen for each rear seat passenger. They can control entertainment, they can control climate, air conditioning, things like that. And then there is this. Of course you have to have cup holders, but these are not just any cup holders. You can actually choose to have your cup or your bottle or your glass heated or cooled by tapping this button. And if these screens aren't enough, there's actually this screen as well. Tap this little button and you have a tablet that you can use to control these other screens after you've paired it. In the lower panel, we have headphones for the entertainment system, and for ultimate comfort, our seat settings are here. Tap that button, the front seat will slide forward and the rear passenger seat will lay flat. Press the button below it and it'll return to its original position. Maybach has a very distinct logo. It's a double M, standing for Maybach and for Mercedes. The exterior of the car is notable for a lot of clever little details. You'll see the Maybach logo embedded in air vents. The front grille almost looks like a tuxedo. Our model has a two-tone paint color, silver and black, and you'll see the Maybach logo on the rear quarter panel between the windows and the rear liftgate. Another notable detail are the flat handles. They pop out to greet you when you approach with a key fob. The Maybach EQS 680 is designed for the driver who wants it all and wants no inconvenience whatsoever. The interior is designed to pamper and soothe. The drive experience is designed to be really exciting, and without ever having to go to a gas station, you never need sully your hands.
Well, what you're seeing behind me is the all-new Macan. It's a 2024 Macan, and what's unique about it is that it's our electric Macan. We've had quite a few years of internal combustion powered Macans. We've also wanted to expand our electric portfolio. We already have the Taycan, and we see a demand for a compact crossover that's electrically powered, but with our twist, which means it has the dynamic capability and the performance that Porsche is known for, in combination with the everyday usability that our customers require, like the front trunk, a good sized rear trunk, comfortable passenger accommodations, and then of course, the icing on the cake is the customization that you can do to it. From a customization perspective, Porsche has a range of options. We have a fantastic configurator to select colors for the seat belts, for the seat, materials for the seat, exterior colors, wheels and tires, performance options, assist options. If that's not enough, we also have a custom paint program called Paint to Sample, where basically whatever you dream up, we can paint your car in that color. People are connected more than ever before, and instead of fighting it, we wanted to make it easier for people to connect their phone and their digital life with their car. Hey Porsche, it's cold in here.
It'll get warmer in a minute.
There we go. For the Macan EV, it comes with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, about 95 kilowatt hours are usable. We have not announced EPA rated range yet, but I know that in my own testing, it's pretty easy to go a little over 300 miles. Our motto is basically fast driving, fast charging. And so with the Macan Turbo, you have 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds on the one hand. And then on the charging side, you have 10 to 80% in about 21 minutes with a 270 kilowatt peak charge rate. For Porsche, the name Turbo has a lot of meaning. Instead of thinking of it as a technology, we view Turbo as a variant. When you go to a Porsche dealership and ask for a Turbo, what you're looking for is the top range of the model. You're looking for the best performance, best interior, best exterior options. That's what Turbo means for us and why we've decided to just kind of be real with ourselves and say, look, if Turbo's the best, then the top dog Macan needs to be called the Macan Turbo. For Porsche, performance is luxury. So having a great handling car, allowing you to escape from the trials of everyday life by hopping in the driver's seat with perfect ergonomics, the great view out of the front windshield where you can see the fenders that define where your front wheels are, just like on our sports cars. That's one of the things that draws people to our brand.
These are the new concept cars from Genesis. Genesis is the luxury brand from Hyundai. It came on the scene about a decade ago. They build SUVs, they build really beautiful luxury sedans, and now they're building a sport line, a performance line of cars called Magma. The three Magma versions that you see here, there's a G80 sedan, there is a GV60 all-electric, and in the middle is a true concept car, and that is the Berlinetta. It is a classic sports car. It's long, it's lean, it only seats 2 people, it has all the luxury touches, and while they say it's only a concept and we're not going to see it come to market, I think we're going to see it come to market. Every luxury brand needs a performance variant of its cars. If you can't perform on the track as well as you perform in the luxury realm, you're not truly considered luxury. Genesis recognizes that, and so they've added this performance lineup to the overall group of Genesis vehicles. In recent years, brands have used concept cars for 2 things. One is to show future design and allow customers to see where the design is going in future models, and the other is to get feedback from customers. Genesis has long said they don't build concept cars that they're not going to produce. So the Magma line is based on the idea of molten rock, something that you might find in a volcano. It's hot, it's glowing, and that's why the color is orange. The other concept car is called the Neo Loon, or New Moon, and it is smooth. It has no creases, no hard lines. The idea behind the Neo Loon is to really create this soothing experience in a large full-size SUV. In the concept, Genesis has shown the interior cabin to be truly a relaxation and conversation pod. As with the Magma Performance, the Neo Loon also represents the very top that they're going to build. While most of their models have been priced well under the $100,000 range, it's very likely that we're going to see some of these models go above that for the first time in Genesis, marking truly a new era of luxury for this brand. This is the Lexus TX. And while it's not the first 3-row SUV that Lexus has built, it's one that we've been waiting for because it's the first with a truly full-size 3rd row that's perfect for daily use. Even though the TX has all-wheel drive, it's really more of a crossover style SUV, which means there's more interior space and the ride is more like a car and less like a truck. In introducing the TX, Lexus combined its new technology and the height of everything it's doing design-wise with everything it's learned from its Toyota division and what people really want in terms of conveniences and comforts in a minivan. The result is all Lexus. It's beautiful, it's well-designed, it's luxurious, and it's reliable. In the past, the spindle grille was a little aggressive and not everybody loved that, so they softened the look on the front of the Lexus TX. And the rear of the Lexus TX is distinct for the taillight bar and the Lexus name spelled across the tailgate. Many think the TX in the model name stands for Texas, which is where Lexus is headquartered in North America, but that's not true. I asked Lexus and they said, nope, it stands for third row. The Lexus TX comes in a number of trims from the 350 to the 550 plug-in electric hybrid. And true to Lexus engineering, customers can buy an all-gas engine or a hybrid, and then in that top model, that's a plug-in electric hybrid. We're driving the 500H, which is a hybrid, but it's actually a performance hybrid. It is an F Sport performance. So it has all of the sport performance of the F series. It also has some of the F Sport style details on the interior, and it is designed to really deliver a fun drive experience as well as that luxury and comfort for all your passengers. Because it's a hybrid, it does a little bit better in fuel economy. It averages about 27 mpg. The interior of the Lexus TX is filled with luxuries, a panoramic sunroof, leather upholstery, lots of conveniences including air vents and USB ports for every passenger. But the real luxury is the configurability and the flexibility of the seating in this car. You can buy a version with center row captain's chairs that allows a pass-through to the third row, which seats 2, or you can buy a bench so you can seat 7 passengers in total in the Lexus TX. Adding to that configurability are the slide and tilt center row seats. You can push a button and those seats will slide and tilt forward even with a child car seat installed for third row access. This is the brand new multimedia system from Lexus. It has Hey Lexus voice assistants. There are different settings here, including the seat controls. Your drive modes are available only on the screen, so there's normal, sport, eco, and custom. You can set up your drive modes however you'd like. There are quick access functions here and climate there. Lexus has a subscription navigation service that will download current versions of maps and all of your search information. So even if you find yourself in a place without cell service, you'll still have the maps you need. The center console has been completely redesigned. There is a storage box here underneath the wireless phone charger and these little cup holders that can come out to be cleaned. And sport mode is really where drivers will have fun, even when they're passengers in the third row, because this really puts all 366 horsepower to work and gets an extra boost from that hybrid motor. Even though the Lexus TX is all-wheel drive, the focus of this SUV is really on-road fun and comfort. Lexus has other SUVs that are more focused on off-road. The Lexus TX was designed to appeal to families who want high style and great comfort in a luxury car, but also want that reliability that Lexus is known for. Their cars are known for going hundreds of thousands of miles. This is the 2024 BMW 5 Series. This is the flagship BMW. It is the sedan that sets the standard for everything that BMW does. BMW believes that buyers should get whichever powertrain they like, so it's available in a gas engine, a plug-in electric hybrid, or pure electric. There are 2 versions of the all-electric. There's one that's less powerful and one that's more powerful. We're driving the M60i, which is the more powerful, 593 horsepower and a 0 to 60 second time of 3.3 seconds. It has a new kidney-shaped grille. The gas engines, of course, need that grille. The electric versions don't, but they decided to keep it on the i5, and it's illuminated. For 2024, buyers can choose from 14 different paint colors. Another thing that buyers can choose is leather or vegan leather. BMW calls it Veganza, that's leatherette in BMW speak. It's a more sustainable material. You can't really tell the difference between leatherette and leather. BMW buyers will love this. There are some signalers on the outside and on the inside that this is the brand new 5 Series. On the outside, you'll see a 5 embossed in the pillar and then also in the door frame when you open either of the front or rear doors. Inside, crystal is the idea. And we'll see not only crystal controls, but this really beautiful crystal cut bar that spans the entire cabin. The crystal is actually made by a very well-known crystal maker, but we can't say who it is. BMW was able to take these crystal panels and actually embed controls in them. Here we have the air vent opening and our rear and front defroster are here. Over on the side, on the passenger side, there is a slider to control the airflow. And over on the driver's side is a crystal panel where you have the headlight controls. You can turn the headlights on or off. The idea of crystal and luxury is very clear, but the idea of performance is very clear too. And next to the crystal, we have really beautiful carbon fiber trim. It's something that we've seen in performance cars, and it plays a role in the BMW 5 Series. The BMW 5 Series for the gas version starts at just under $60,000, so a very approachable price for a luxury car. When you start to add power, you start to add to the price tag. The price of the car we're driving, the i5, has a sticker price that starts at about $84,000, but with all the additions and options, ours comes in at $97,000. 5 Series is designed to appeal to a number of customers, from the auto enthusiast to the customer who's looking for the latest, greatest, most innovative thing when it comes to electric cars, but really also the customer who is looking for that reward or to live that BMW lifestyle. The BMW i5 brings so many capabilities that BMW has developed over the last few years, all to one really beautiful package. For the luxury sedan buyer, this car represents not only great power and great performance, but technology that will really wow. This is the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. When Hyundai introduced the Ioniq 5 all-electric car a few years ago, it was rolled out with a lot of enthusiasm, but Hyundai's engineers knew they could do better. They knew that this car was capable of doing everything that world-class performance cars could do, so they set out to prove that theory. They gave the Ioniq 5 the N driving dynamics of their performance line. N stands for Namyang, which is where Hyundai's proving ground is in Korea. But in this instance, it also stands for Nürburgring, which is where they tested this performance car. It delivers 601 horsepower, 641 when you put it in boost mode, and 545 pound-feet of torque. But more than that, it is tuned for racing. The wheels are spread to the corners of the car. It has a diffuser on the end for better aerodynamics, and it has all the markings of a performance car, from red stripes and red pixels to suede seats that are designed to keep you planted when heading around those really tight curves at high speed. Everyone said an electric car cannot be the most powerful performance car, but that's clearly not true. Critics, journalists agreed and awarded the Hyundai Ioniq 5N the World Performance Car of the Year for 2024. To prove that an EV could be just as fun to drive as a gas-powered performance car, Hyundai engineered this to look and feel and sound and perform just like a gas-powered performance car. And then when you put it in boost mode, you really feel that power, not just the power of the 641 horsepower, but the power of that instant torque. It throws you back in your seat the way any really, truly world-class performance car will do. Hyundai equipped the Ioniq 5N with sports seats, so they actually have cutouts for racing harnesses, so if you want to install racing harnesses, you can. And then all 5 seats are upholstered in micro suede, and they have bolsters on the sides and on the seats so that the driver and all passengers are firmly planted, no matter whether this car is going through the drive-thru or around the Nürburgring. The interior of the Ioniq 5N draws on the Ioniq 5, which has this large flat screen here. Where it differs is the steering wheel and then the center console and the seating. So we're in sport mode, but it's electric, so you hear a little of the electric hum. But when I tap this N button, and then if I pull the paddle shifters, and all you have to do is pull the paddle shifters, woo! Second gear. There are a series of speakers. Most of them are inside the car. There's a couple on the outside so that if you're driving by, you will hear a little bit of that engine noise, but not a lot. Most of the sound is actually fed into the cabin. Now, I'm gonna hit NGB or N-Grin mode. Ready? It really throws you back in your seat. And look how fast that acceleration is. That is that instant torque and all of that additional 40 horsepower. So it really gives you that, the intention is to give you that 600 horsepower. If you're not going fast enough, you're not gonna get it. But merging onto the highway or on a private track, that is gonna be fun. The Ioniq 5 is an electric car, so you can go into your EV settings and you can see your range and how much of your battery is left. But for the N version, you want to go into N mode. On this screen, you have all of your performance metrics and some options here. For instance, you can turn on N pedal, and it will even show you what you need to do to make N pedal work, which is sport mode dedicated for tracks or ideal for track driving, and race mode. And you can even drift in this car, and it shows you what you need to do to be able to get that traction control off. You want to be in Sport Plus. It's ideal not to use these modes when driving on city streets. With the custom settings, you can set up N mode however you'd like, and then over here, you even have the option to track your performance on the track. And then there's launch control, and launch control is essentially starting from zero and going as fast as you can as you would on a drag strip. As performance cars go, it's priced squarely in the middle, $67,000. It's all in, it's a package. You could probably add a few things, but not much. What you see is what you get in the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. The Hyundai Ioniq 5N is a great daily driver. It's really comfortable. It's got plenty of passenger space and rear seat legroom, plus a lot of space in the hatch for cargo. So it's great for road trips and family driving, but it's for that enthusiast who wants to take it out on the track or twisty mountain roads on the weekends.
So this contest was a collaboration with Ford and Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney actually designed this car. It has her custom heart bolt emblem here on the side, and also on the inside, the starry light sky was her design as well. And so I came across this on Instagram, and the contest was to write a story about how you've challenged expectations. I started reading through all of the other amazing women's comments and like all of the ways that they've challenged expectations. I just got so inspired and passionate, and it turned into just like this passion project and like love letter to all the women who have also challenged expectations. And it was a very cool, very powerful experience for me to have participated. Just writing the story was like a win for me. And then obviously like this is a big one. Sydney Sweeney, I've always been a fan of hers, and it wasn't until recently that I found out that she grew up in a family of mechanics, and she was super interested in cars, and she fixed up a Bronco over the pandemic, and she had a 1965 Mustang. Like, what isn't there to love about Sydney Sweeney? And she's truly working so hard to bring normalcy to women in the automotive industry. And I just find that so inspiring, and like, I hope that I can do that too. It's such an honor to have been selected out of 5,000 incredible other people who have also challenged expectations. I'm most looking forward to 486 horsepower.
This is the BMW X2 M35i. If you've never driven a BMW and you've always wanted to own one, this is the place to start. The BMW X2 is actually built on the platform of the BMW X1. Underneath the shell of the car and the exterior design, they're pretty much identical. BMW's strategy with its boxy SUVs that have odd numbers like the X1, X3, and X5 is to take that boxy shape and turn it into a really beautiful coupe with a sloped roof line and a little sportier look to it, and give it an even number, X2, X4, and X6. The X2 M35i builds on the X2 28i, which is the base model. It starts at about $42,000 and puts out 241 horsepower. Upgrade to the M35i, which has the M package and all the M Sport details, and you add 71 horsepower for 312 horsepower and about $9,000 in price. Our test model adds a few more options and features and is priced at about $59,000. Still, probably the best experience you can get with all the features, all the bells and whistles, and really great performance in a BMW SUV. By upgrading to the M35i, you get all things M. So the more powerful engine, the sport tuning and suspension, a more fun to drive sport mode. In the M35i edition, you can add even more M. Ours has some N badging, and it has the M Sport seats with cutouts so you can add a racing harness. The X2 in its soul is an SUV. It has that higher ground clearance and it has off-road capability. It's so capable, in fact, that BMW entered it in the very competitive off-road rally called the Rebel Rally last year, and it won second place in its class. Despite the off-road capabilities, it's a really comfortable daily driver. Our version has micro suede seats that are bolstered and really comfortable, and it has every amenity and every feature that you need at your fingertips. The X2 28i has a 4-cylinder engine that generates 241 horsepower. The M35 edition, same 4-cylinder engine, it's a twin turbo, and it generates 312 horsepower. The X2's interior is the future of BMW. It has a wide, flat screen that's a touch screen. It has a floating center console, and it has some novel features such as the gear selector, which is really a toggle rather than a lever, My Modes, which is a button, and everything is touch sensitive on all of the screens and all of the controls. So here's the stop-start button. This is our gear selector, so you just toggle it forward for rear and back for drive. And then the park brake to park the car. To put it in park, you just put on the actual parking brake. Central to the new design of BMW is this really large curved screen that spans almost half the dash. There is a multimedia system here that has all of your functions. On the steering wheel, we have adaptive cruise and driver assist features over here. The entertainment and multimedia systems are over here. And then it is a BMW. It gives us paddle shifters, so you can shift up or shift down. And they're really long and they almost feel Ferrari style in the way that they're designed. One of the great things about the M35i is when you pull back this right paddle, you get an extra boost. The X2 M35i is for the person who's always wanted a BMW and hasn't had one before. You get that first bonus, you get that first bump in your big job, and you want to go reward yourself with a car. This is the one to do it with. This is the 2024 Mercedes-AMG C63 SE Performance. This is the most powerful 4-cylinder on the road. Over the last several years, AMG has been one of the partners on an F1 team, and they've learned a lot, not just about racing and performance, but also about efficiency and electric power. And they outfitted the C63 SE with a plug-in electric hybrid. It generates 200 horsepower added to the 471 horsepower from the 4-cylinder engine, and it's the most powerful 4-cylinder on the road. The C63 SE Performance that we're driving is painted in a matte gray graphite color, and it's capped with an Affalterbach badge where you might find the Mercedes badge on the hood. The latest AMG carries all the new design language. It has sleek new headlights, it has a new grille, it has new taillights, and inside it's outfitted with all the best luxury that Mercedes-AMG offers. Starting the AMG C63 is a little bit of a surprise. Because it's a hybrid, it starts up quiet. But then you put it in sport mode and you'll hear it. Our test model is equipped with the carbon fiber package. You'll see that on the steering wheel as well as across the dashboard. There are paddle shifters on the right and the left, and these paddle shifters are for performance. And we have these iconic dials here. This is our gear selector here, and then we can customize our settings here. The multimedia system has all the basic things that you'll need. This bar is the key to life here. So there's our camera, our vehicle settings are here. Fingerprint, you can customize this to start and drive it with your fingerprint. And this is where you can quickly toggle through the different drive modes, and you can easily customize any of these drive modes as well. You'll also see your performance metrics and driver feedback on the driver display here. You can actually scroll through the different display options for the driver display. The Mercedes-AMG C63 that we're driving has the top-of-the-line Burmester sound system, which is notable for these really beautiful panels in the doors and throughout the car. The AMG C63 is equipped with sports seats that are designed to bolster you and hold you in your place when you're on the track so you won't slide around the car. Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
what's your favorite color?
I love green, especially traffic lights.
The Mercedes voice assistance is here to provide whatever help you need. There are a lot of things it can do, from setting navigation and cabin temperature to radio station, and even answering some pretty complex math questions. The Mercedes-AMG C63 SE Performance starts at about $85,000 with additions including AMG badging, packaging, and a few other things. The price of our test model comes in at just over $105,000. The buyer of this car is somebody who really loves track driving. It's a daily driver, it's a very comfortable sedan, it has a sizable trunk for road trips. It's going to be comfortable for everyday driving, but really its place is on the track. In fact, AMG programmed this car to be driven on up to 40 tracks. It's programmed for 3 right now. And what they did was they mapped those tracks for the car, that when the car is on that track, it will respond to optimize your lap time. Don't let the 4-door sedan fool you. This car fits like a glove. Once you sit in the driver's seat and you put your hands on the wheel, you feel like you were born for the track too.
Volkswagen wanted to bring back the bus. It's an iconic piece of Volkswagen history and American culture. Volkswagen made the ID. Buzz electric because it offered a unique opportunity to recreate the same body style that the original bus had. The upright front fascia is something you can only recreate in an MEB-based vehicle where you don't have to package for an engine. The ID. Buzz is a bus true and true. It is made for functionality. It's made for moving people around. It's available in 7-seat configuration with 3 rows or optional captain's chairs. The ID. Buzz powertrain shares the same MEB platform pieces as the ID.7 and the ID.4. It is equipped with our performance drive unit, offering rear-wheel drive with 282 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque, and dual motor all-wheel drive with 335 horsepower. We haven't released range yet, but the ID.4 is available with up to 291 miles on the rear-wheel drive and 263 on the all-wheel drive. So the ID. Buzz has an incredibly flexible interior. Not only will it have best-in-class third-row legroom and comfort, but the full second and third row fold flat to create a wonderful load floor. The third row is also removable for extra space. And in the first row, you have our Buzz Box center console, which is modular and removable if you would like to use that space for something else. The ID. Buzz is a bus. It is its own segment, it's its own form factor. It is recreating what history has known as the T2, the T3. Even though it has sliding doors, it is not a minivan, it's a bus. Fun is part of the ID. Buzz spirit. So of course we incorporated Easter eggs throughout the vehicle, fun little touches that remind you of why you're here, why you love the Buzz, and why you love the brand. The ID. Buzz is a perfect first electric vehicle. It is one of the first to market 3-row family movers in the electric space, and it really offers all of the benefits of driving EV, and the amazing packaging that comes with it. The ID Buzz will be on showroom floors at the end of 2024.
This is the GMC Hummer EV 3X SUV. This EV is GM's moonshot. When they started developing the Ultium battery system that is the foundation of all their electric vehicles, they realized there were a lot of really interesting, innovative, fascinating, and wow factor things that they could do with these cars, but they couldn't put them in everything. They put them all in the Hummer. What can it do? Well, it starts with 830 horsepower and 11,500 pound-feet of torque. There is a mode in this car called WTF, or watts to freedom, that front loads all 11,500 pound-feet of torque for an instant start. Literally, it's like a rocket going off. It also has something called crab walk. It has four-wheel steering. All four wheels can steer. At low speeds, they steer the same direction, which gives the car sort of almost a floaty look and feel as it's driving in crab walk. Ideally, this is something that can get you out of a tight situation. Maybe it's a tight parking spot, or maybe it's just a tight rock formation in Moab. On the outside, the Hummer is notable for the light bar across the front that spells out the Hummer name, and for the headlights. There are lights on top of the vehicle, and on the front you'll see there are two recovery points or tow hooks. In the back, the Hummer EV SUV has a swing gate rather than a lift gate, and that's because it holds the spare tire. It has something called extract mode, where you can use the air suspension system to raise or lower the vehicle to drive through water or to get out of mud or sand. As an EV, it has true one-pedal drive mode. You want to save as much power as possible and regenerate as much as possible, so using one-pedal drive mode helps you do that. Another wow factor in this SUV is Super Cruise. This is hands-free driving that General Motors has been rolling out to all of its SUVs and trucks. To use Super Cruise, turn on adaptive cruise control and then tap the Super Cruise button. Once you do that, you can take your hands off the wheel. You just can't take your eyes off the road. If you do, the system will stop working. Inside the Hummer EV, there is a lot to tell. There is a large multimedia screen here and a large driver's display here. The screens in this SUV are a little different than anything in any other GMC because these are purpose made. Notice the textured composite material. These are designed to give a real tactical feel to the interior of this car. And then we have this. Hey Google. Voice-activated assistance. One of the most important details in this car, though, is the drive mode selector. So you can turn this dial to access different drive modes, and they'll even show you a little information about each mode as you select that mode. Each of the drive modes is illustrated with a graphic, but notice the one on the tow haul. This is the Hummer pulling the space shuttle. Passengers are going to be very happy for running boards and grab handles in the GMC Hummer because this is a tall vehicle. Rear seat passengers have an armrest with cup holders, and then they also get their own sunroof panels. To access the cargo area, you just push the button and the swing gate completely opens up. And the seats fold flat if you need extra cargo space. The Hummer SUV has a very large frunk, which is accessed by pushing this button here on the control panel to the left of the steering wheel. And a lot of people use this space for tailgating. The Hummer EV SUV has a price of about $96,000, but add a few things in and it can easily go past $100,000. Driving the GMC Hummer SUV makes you feel larger than life. It's big and you feel big sitting in the driver's seat. But what's even bigger is how much it can do. The range is really good. The power is incredible. The features inside this SUV make you really believe that anything is possible.